Welcome! I'm sure it will not be news to you that the Grand Solar Minimum channel gets it all wrong once again. They issued a video saying NOAA shows the beginning of a cooling trend and then states that what is a Grand Solar Minimum, DRKSTRONG gets it all wrong. Well, I don't think I do. You'll note that the video that I'm talking about is all in mocking tones and there's no real facts to back him up. He makes multiple incorrect statements, and I'm going to do a series of videos on each of the subjects rather than make this one great big long video. He misrepresents what I say. He omits important parts of my video to make it seem less coherent than it actually is. Is this ignorance or maliciousness, or is this malicious ignorance or ignorant maliciousness? I'm not sure, probably both. Well, I'm going to take an example, a very specific example that has absolutely nothing to do with the Grand Solar Minimum, but illustrates just how dishonest this person is. And it's from about 32 minutes into his video to about 35 minutes into his video. And it's a comment about my mailbox. His rant goes on and on. He says he lives in a neighborhood where they require you to have a $550 mailbox. That is untrue. I live in a neighborhood where the Homeowners Association tried to impose upon the homeowners to buy a $550 mailbox. They failed. The houses there average between $750,000 and $1.5 million. And this illustrates the point that we were talking about in the videos where he does not understand average. An average is a single number, which will be the sum of all the values of the houses divided by the number of houses. What he's got here is a range. So he doesn't even understand the difference between an average and a range. The rules were set up by people higher up than him. Actually, the rules in a homeowners association have to be agreed to by the homeowners, where we are all equal. He goes out and buys himself a Walmart brand $15 mailbox and installs it on a 2x4. That is completely untrue. The mailbox I have was already there when the rule was passed, and I just wanted to keep the old mailbox. You don't get these mailboxes from Walmart, they're not $15, and they're installed on a 4x4 cedar post, which is actually quite expensive. And it goes on and on. He actually sued the HOA. Well, that's true, but he's missed out a few steps there. First of all, we tried to meet with the HOA and discuss the problem. They refused. We went and got a mediator through the State Attorney General's office, and the Homeowners Association refused to meet with a mediator. And we only sued them when they sent us a letter threatening to foreclose on our house over the mailbox. The HOA took down his mailbox and put in the proper one. No, they didn't. They never touched my mailbox and they never put in a proper one. He tore that down and put in his shitty mailbox. Really? Because if they didn't put in the new one, how could I have taken it down and put in the shitty mailbox, which actually was the community standard for 15 years prior to this event? The guy that can't accept the reality and the rules. An interesting thing here is that when we went to court, it was the court that decided that I was the one that was obeying the rules and the Homeowners Association were not obeying their own rules. So that's why we won. You would think that he would want to be neighborly. I was. Most of my neighbors were actually on my side. In fact, I ran for the Homeowners Association board and was elected with the largest number of votes in the history of the Homeowners Association. That story he put together is complete fiction. I wonder where he got his information from. Did he just make it up? Did he read some newspaper reports and embellish them to make it sound bad? What has any of this to do with GSM, apart from a rather naked attempt to do character assassination on myself? Okay, here's the real story, and you can read this in various newspaper articles, and also, if you want to, you can look up the case history on the Maryland County Court Register. In 2009, the HOA board passed a rule requiring homeowners to buy and install a $500 mailbox. It was from Frontgate. This was sprung on the community without warning, and there was no opportunity for us to discuss this with them at a time of great financial hardship. Remember, 2009 was when there was the housing crisis and a recession brewing. So this was not the best time to impose expensive mailboxes. In fact, one of the board members that were in favor of this had the opinion that if you can't afford a $500 mailbox, you should not be living in Woodmore. The board ignored complaints from the homeowners and threatened them with huge fines and foreclosure if they did not comply. I felt that this was wrong. Let's have another dose of reality. The current community standard at the time when this rule was passed was a $35 cedar mailbox, which had been in place since 1996. I pointed out that the rules of the community state that nobody, including the board, can retroactively change a community standard. So the only option they had was to add other standards to the cedar mailbox. But if people wanted to keep the cedar mailbox, they were allowed to do so. The board ignored this and ignored offers to mediate. It gets worse. I also pointed out that the reviews of these mailboxes were very bad, even though they cost $500. The doors regularly fell off. They're held on with two small plastic hinges, which after a short time rot away and the door falls off. The paint faded in sunlight. The paint then blistered, flaked off, and the mailboxes rusted. They were difficult to install, so very expensive to install. Cost like another $150 to install them. They are top heavy and fall over. And the warranty that they offered, which was supposedly a lifetime warranty, was completely worthless when you actually read the fine print. In 2013, with the original deadline, they started to impose a $100 fine per month for anyone who had not got one of the new mailboxes. We're not done yet. Some homeowners ran up thousands of dollars in these fines and the board started to threaten foreclosure. That's when we sued to stop their foreclosure action. What was not mentioned in the rant was this went to trial and we won because the judge recognized that it was the HOA that was ignoring their own rules, not us. The HOA tried twice more to impose the same rules and twice the courts threw them out. So let's draw some conclusions from all of this. Who is distorting the truth now, Grand Solar Minimum News or me? It seems fairly obvious that that's what they are doing. They are making up these stories to discredit me rather than actually bringing forward scientific information to counter my arguments, which they didn't do. GSM News made up a completely fictitious account of this mailbox incident just to discredit me. And of course, in doing so, they've discredited themselves. It seems par for the course for what they do. Please never trust anybody on social media that asks you for money or tries to sell you anything. So until next time, stay safe and goodbye.